Back in broad daylight in Memphis, Yo Gotti's brother was tragically taken from this world. No arrests have been made and no suspects have been named publicly, but behind the scenes, law enforcement's digging deeper than random leads. One name kept popping up over and over in connection to the situation: Key Glock. You might know him as the face of Paper Route Empire, Young Dolph's cousin, and the man who promised to hold the label down after losing his right-hand man. But here's the thing, this story isn't as straightforward as it seems. When you start pulling at the threads, why exactly was Big Juke killed? Who really had the motive? What happened in court just months after? It all leads back to one of the most intense conflicts in hip-hop history. So stick with me. By the end of this video, you'll see why Key Glock's name keeps coming up and what it could mean for everything ahead. But first, you've got to know who Key Glock really is, where he comes from, and why this whole situation feels even heavier when his name's involved. Markevius Lashun Cathy, born the 3rd of August, 1997. That's Key Glock's given name. He's a rapper straight out of South Memphis, Tennessee. And if you don't know, South Memphis isn't a place where life comes easy. Growing up there, Glock was surrounded by poverty, constant street struggles, and an environment that forces you to grow up fast or risk being lost to it. Raised mostly by his grandmother because his mother was incarcerated when he was little, and with his father out of the picture, Glock's childhood wasn't exactly picture perfect. He had to mature quicker than most kids his age, relying on the women in his family to keep him grounded even while the streets were pulling him the other way. Tragedy struck early too. One of his closest friends at school and a member of his crew, Whole Lotta Airthang, was shot and killed at just 16 years old. Think about that at an age when most teenagers are stressing over school and social life. Glock was watching people around him fall victim to violence. Loss like that doesn't just fade away, it changes you fundamentally. Before music became his full-time focus, Glock faced some serious challenges, including a 2015 aggravated robbery charge that would later become a turning point. He ended up with a 90-day sentence, and this is where the story really takes a twist. While Glock was behind bars, his aunt, who just so happens to be married to Young Dolph's uncle, linking them by family ties, gave him a call. She told him Dolph wanted to connect about music. Just imagine that. The phone call that would change Glock's entire future came while he was locked up. When Glock got out, he linked up with Dolph and his business manager, Daddy-O, and from there, everything took off. In 2017, Young Dolph officially brought Key Glock into Paper Route Empire. But this wasn't some handout. Glock had talent. His first single, Racks Today, dropped in January 2017 and quickly caught fire in Memphis. Later that same year, the Glock Season mixtape hit the scene and exploded, racking up over 6 million combined streams on Spotify almost instantly. It was clear PRE had a fresh new voice demanding attention. What really set Glock apart was his dedication to forging his own path. He refused to do features with outside artists, no guest verses, no pushing for cosigns. His mission was to build his brand through relentless consistency and output, embodying the independent spirit Dolph had nurtured within PRE from the start. The motto was straightforward: own your music, stay independent, never bow to a label. And the numbers prove the strategy was working. In 2020, Glock's debut album, Yellow Tape, debuted at Has Hone 4 on the Billboard 200 and earned RIAA Gold certification. The following year, Yellow Tape 2 climbed even higher, landing at #7 on the chart. By then, Glock had moved far past being just Young Dolph's little cousin. He was a star shining on his own. Their duo projects, Dumb and Dumber and Dumb and Dumber 2, showcased what these two could do together, debuting at hash height on the Billboard 200 and proving they were a powerful team. Glock often described Dolph as his Phil Jackson, the mastermind who set up the system so he could be Michael Jordan. They toured Europe, made serious money, and built their empire independently on a major scale. In Memphis, they weren't just rappers, they were shining examples of how to build something authentic without compromising their integrity. Key Glock and Young Dolph were Paper Route Empire. And Paper Route was more than a label, it was a movement. Memphis was the heartbeat of a booming empire. But while one side of town was riding high on success, the other side was quietly brewing a storm, a rivalry simmering beneath the surface, ready to explode in ways no one could ignore. To truly grasp what's coming next, you need to understand the conflict between Paper Route Empire and Cocaine Music Group. But this wasn't your typical rap clash, no friendly back and forth bars followed by a handshake at an award show. This was a deep, street-level struggle in Memphis, a battle that had been building tension since at least 2017. On one side, you had Young Dolph and Pre, and on the other, Yo Gotti with his label CMG, backed strongly by his older brother, Anthony Big Juke Mims. Gotti saw what Dolph was building and wanted in either a cut of it or to take it over completely, but Dolph, he wasn't about that. Time and again, even in public, Dolph shut down Gotti's offers with fierce, unwavering refusal. This wasn't just a business decision, it was a bold declaration of independence, and it hit like a direct challenge. And then things turned dangerous. In 2017, while Young Dolph was in Charlotte, North Carolina, gunmen unleashed over 100 rounds on the SUV he was riding in. Miraculously, he survived. Instead of backing down, he channeled that energy into a track called 100 Shots, a direct response that sent a message. The same year in Los Angeles, he was targeted again, shot, and severely wounded. Surviving multiple attacks only intensified the pressure between these two camps. Dolph made no secret of his feelings. His music openly called out CMG, Yo Gotti, and Big Juke. He wasn't holding back. And in Memphis, when you speak like that on record, it's taken very seriously, especially when money and influence are in the mix. Court documents later revealed that Big Juke, a key player in CMG's daily grind, nurtured a deep personal grudge against Dolph. This bitterness wasn't just about business or music, it was about what Dolph represented. Every time Paper Route Empire made moves on its own, it was a reminder that nobody needed Yo Gotti's backing to come out on top in Memphis. And that idea didn't sit well with some powerful people. November was looming. November 17th, 2021, a day that would forever change everything. Young Dolph had returned to Memphis as he did every year to host his Thanksgiving turkey giveaway, giving back to the very community that shaped him. Before heading home, he made a quick stop at Makita's Homemade Butter Cookies on Airways Boulevard, a spot he visited often and loved deeply. He stepped inside, thinking only about grabbing some cookies and reuniting with his family. But just seconds later, two men emerged from a white two-door Mercedes-Benz parked outside. Without warning, they opened fire through the store's window. Young Dolph was struck 22 times and tragically lost his life right there. He was just 36. One of Memphis's most successful independent artists gunned down in broad daylight in a cookie shop. The city was stunned. PRE went into deep mourning, and Key Glock Dolph's longtime partner in music and life suddenly went silent. Days passed before Glock broke his silence on Instagram, calling Dolph his left-hand man, brother, cousin, mentor. His words were heartbreaking. "Damn, bro, I'm lost. Lost. My heart is torn, my brain about to explode. It hurts just to breathe. Why did you have to leave me so soon?" It was raw emotion, unfiltered pain. In the months that followed, Glock nearly vanished from the public eye. In interviews, he revealed he was numb, unable to record, trapped in grief. Then, in January 2022, he released Proud, a tribute to Dolph over a haunting band playbeat. The track opened with Dolph's iconic ad-lib, and Glock's lyrics laid bare his struggle trying to drown the pain, feeling lost inside. But he promised to make his cousin proud. The song struck a chord, becoming one of the most powerful Memphis releases in years and marking Glock's first entry on the Billboard Hot 100. On the first anniversary of Dolph's passing, Glock honored him again, dropping a 5-track EP titled PRE5L. He didn't just grieve, he carried on Dolph's legacy, expanding the Young Dolph National Day of Service to 14 cities. Glock even got a tattoo of Dolph, making it clear publicly he was doing everything right. But beyond the spotlight, in the streets of Memphis, a different kind of justice was quietly unfolding. While Glock was laying low in the studio, law enforcement was piecing together a critical case, and what happened next would add even deeper layers to this story. The court revelations sent shockwaves through the entire hip-hop community. Two men were arrested early on, Cornelius Smith and Justin Johnson, who went by the rap name Straight Drop. Johnson had ties to Hernandez Govan, also known as Quet, whom prosecutors labeled as the alleged mastermind behind the entire plot. But there was another name prosecutors kept mentioning, one that never appeared in court because he was still out there on the streets: Anthony Big Juke Mims. Cornelius Smith, one of the confessed shooters, took the stand and dropped a bombshell. Big Juke, Yo Gotti's older brother and a major player at CMG, had allegedly put out a $100,000 contract to take out Young Dolph. Smith explained that Govan acted as the middleman, connecting him and Johnson and coordinating the entire operation. This wasn't a last-minute plan, it had been in the works for weeks leading up to November 17th. They had been watching Dolph's moves closely, even thinking about striking during his annual Thanksgiving turkey giveaway event. When Govan learned Dolph would be at Makita's that day, Smith said the call came through. That's our chance. But the $100,000 hit on Young Dolph was just a part of the bigger picture. Leaked court documents suggested that Big Juke had placed bounties on several members of the Paper Route Empire, not just Dolph. Key Glock was rumored to have a $50,000 target on his back. Paper Route Wu the same, Snoop Bands $20,000, and Big Moochie Grape $5,000. According to the documents, Big Juke wanted to completely dismantle Paper Route Empire, not just respond to a diss track, but wipe out the whole operation. Smith also revealed that right after the shooting, while both he and Johnson were bleeding and trying to escape and Johnson had been hit during the chaos, they actually FaceTimed Big Juke. They contacted the man who allegedly ordered the hit while Dolph was still lying on the floor of that cookie shop. And it didn't end there. Smith said his attorney later received between $38,000 and $50,000 in cash from people connected to Big Juke, a partial payment of the $40,000 promised per shooter. Justin Johnson was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life, plus extra years for conspiracy and weapons charges. Hernandez Govan, the supposed mastermind, went to trial in August 2025 but was ultimately found not guilty after just 3 hours of jury deliberation. The defense argued that Smith was an unreliable witness looking for a way out to save himself, but the jury wasn't fully convinced beyond a reasonable doubt. So, right now, the only person behind bars for Young Dolph's murder is Johnson. But then, the story takes a sharp, shocking turn nobody saw coming. The 13th of January, 2024, Memphis. Just after 4:15 inches the afternoon, a police officer patrolling near 6385 Winchester Road hears gunshots. He rushes toward the noise and finds two men lying outside Perignon's restaurant and event center, both suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. One of those men? Anthony Big Juke Mims, age 47, brother of rapper Yo Gotti. A man prosecutors would later claim had put out a six-figure hit on Young Dolph just 9 months earlier. Big Juke is rushed to the hospital, but tragically, he doesn't survive. And here's the detail that hits especially hard once you understand the full picture. Big Juke and the other victim were at Perignon's for a repast, a meal held after a funeral for a family member. He was there, grieving with his loved ones, when the devastating attack happened. Witnesses told police the suspects were driving a white Ford Explorer with black wheels and dark tinted windows. Security cameras captured the vehicle speeding away from the scene. Memphis police have said the shooting was no accident, it was targeted. Big Juke wasn't random crossfire. He was the intended target. And here's the critical part. As of now, no arrests have been made, no one has been charged. Officially, the case has gone cold. But on the streets, the theories and whispers are already spreading fast. Just before he died, Big Juke posted something haunting on Instagram. They don't want to face you, they want to snake you. Stay alert to stay alive. Watch your back at all times. Put snakes on the plate and eat great. Was it a general warning or a message tied to what was about to happen? No one knows for sure. But looking back, it almost feels like he sensed the storm coming. Let's be clear before we move on, Key Glock has not been charged with anything related to Big Juke's death. No arrests, no formal accusations. That's where things stand legally. So, why does Key Glock's name keep coming up? Why do reports say investigators were looking in his direction? It all comes down to one undeniable simple fact: motive. Think about everything we've just laid out. Big Juke allegedly organized the hit that took down Young Dolph, Key Glock's cousin, mentor, and close friend, and now Big Juke himself ends up a victim in this web of violence. The man who had given everything to him suddenly found himself at the center of a shocking revelation. Court documents surfaced revealing that Key Glock wasn't just grieving a lost cousin, he was also a target. A $50,000 bounty allegedly hung over his head. Even some of his closest crew, those who'd been through the toughest battles alongside him, were marked with price tags. This wasn't just about a family tragedy, this was war. Imagine being Key Glock watching your cousin get taken out, only to realize you were next in line. In the streets of Memphis, that's a crystal clear motive. The same people suspected of ordering the hit on his cousin had also put a hit on him. Then, when one of those people, Big Juke, gets caught off guard and slain in cold blood at a repass, it's more than just bad luck, it's cause and effect. 2 + 2 always equals 4 in situations like this, courtroom proof or not. Investigators aren't fooled. When a prominent figure tied to a murder case is executed like this, and there's a known group with documented reasons to want them dead, all eyes turn toward that camp first. That's just how these investigations unfold. Take the vehicle used in the Big Juke shooting a white Ford Explorer, too perfect of a detail. Why? Because a white SUV also pops up in surveillance from the Young Dolph case. Could be coincidence. But in the game of clues and street rumors, that's exactly the kind of thing everyone notices and talks about. Timing matters too. Big Juke was taken out in January 2024 before his supposed involvement in Dolph's murder even hit the courtroom spotlight. So, whoever fired that shot either already heard the rumors running wild through the streets or had their own personal reasons to make a move. Either way, this was no accident. This was precise and intentional. Key Glock himself has barely said a word about Big Juke's death. In Memphis, silence often speaks louder than any statement ever could. As news of Big Juke's death exploded online, the street chatter erupted instantly. Social media blew up. Those who'd followed this saga from the start knew exactly what was really going on. This was retaliation PRE, sending a clear message back, and the name Key Glock was one of the first whispered, not because of charges, but because to the streets, his motive was obvious. Put yourself in his shoes. If everything the court alleges about Big Juke is true, then this. The man at the center of this story wasn't just anyone, he was responsible for taking away the most important person in Glock's world. Not only family, but the one who shaped him, who gave him a shot after he got out of jail, who taught him the ropes in business, who made him who he is. Young Dolph wasn't just Glock's cousin, he was his rock, his foundation. And Glock's music made it clear he wasn't someone to back down or run away from anything. On his track, Glaucoma 2, he rapped about sliding through challenges, about moving without needing permission or explanation. Those bold lyrics were just words until reality caught up, and suddenly, they hit differently. When life starts mirroring the music, everyone pays attention. Fans, prosecutors, investigators, even journalists. During the Hernandez-Govan trial, retired Sergeant Terrence Dabney revealed something shocking. Big Juke, a name tied to this world, had been seen as a suspect in Young Dolph's murder. But here's the twist. He was never formally questioned before his own death. Not once. They knew he might be involved, yet time never gave them the chance. Before law enforcement could act, the streets did. That admission is staggering. Think about it, a lead suspect in one of the most public rap murder investigations was never brought in for questioning. And now Big Juke himself is gone, his murder case frozen in time with no suspect's name, no leads pursued. A Memphis newspaper tracked the Big Juke case closely, reporting that by January 2025, over a year after Young Dolph's shooting, the police still had no updates. No arrests, no suspects. The trail had gone completely cold. Meanwhile, amid all this chaos in the streets and the courtroom drama, Key Glock seemed to stay locked in. After dropping Glaucoma 2 in February 2023, he signed with Republic Records just 2 years later in March 2025. By May 2025, he released Glockavelli, his debut major label album. He's building, grinding, pushing the legacy of PRE forward just like he promised he would. But you can't separate the music from what's happening in real life. Every step Glock takes since the 17th of November, 2021 is tinged with loss, loyalty, and the heavy truth of what happened to his cousin. Now, with Big Juke dead and an investigation stalled, Glock finds himself caught in a complicated situation where rumors swirl, even without any charges. From a career perspective, this uncertainty puts him in uncharted territory, navigating the weight of the past while trying to build the future. Now, picture this. Dolph is no longer just an underground name. He's a major label artist, signed with Republic Records, with the whole industry watching his every move. But here's where it gets complicated. Being labeled as a person of interest in a murder investigation? That kind of spotlight isn't just a headline, it brings a wave of pressure, legal battles, constant surveillance, and an overwhelming kind of scrutiny. Just imagine trying to build a music empire while all of that is looming over you. But the real story that so many don't openly talk about is this. If the investigation into Big Juke's murder leads to charges, if any connection is made back to PRE, whether directly or behind the scenes, it could completely shatter everything the label worked so hard to build. Dolph's legacy, the hard-fought independence, the entire foundation, they're all on the line. This isn't just about one tragic shooting. It's about a cycle of violence that started years ago, dragging people down long after they thought they'd escaped it. Let's take a step back for a moment, because what we're witnessing here isn't unique. It's a story that hip-hop, and Memphis especially, has seen too many times before. A rivalry that kicks off in music but then crosses into the streets, escalating into chaos nobody can fully control. This wasn't some drama made for the internet. Dolph and Gotti's conflict was real. This was Memphis, politics, money, pride, and street code all tangled together. And when Big Juke supposedly decided that a $100,000 hit was the solution to a rap feud and some diss tracks, he unleashed a chain reaction that cost lives and shattered futures. Justin Johnson is serving life in prison. He's barely in his 20s, locked away for pulling the trigger over $40,000 he apparently never even got. Cornelia Smith confessed to being a shooter and still faces charges. Hernandez Govan may have walked free, but his name is forever linked to one of hip-hop's most notorious murders. And now, Big Juke himself is gone. Most believe his death was a direct consequence of everything he set in motion. Through all this tragedy, the families remain. Dolph's family, Big Juke's family, Yo Gotti's family, they all carry the heavy weight of something that never needed to escalate this far. Young Dolph left behind a partner, Mia J, and 2 children. He had an entire label full of artists counting on him and a city that saw him as a symbol of hope and ambition. But what started with music and dreams ended in pain and loss, showing just how deep and complicated these stories truly are. Everything changed forever because of a clash over respect, reputation, and pride. But this story, it's far from over. The case surrounding Big Juke's death remains unsolved. Key Glock hasn't faced any charges, and the investigation continues, with the streets of Memphis still watching every move. Here's what we know for sure. Young Dolph was one of the most genuine, independent, and deeply loved voices in hip-hop. He crafted something powerful with PRE, a label where artists truly owned their music, where loyalty wasn't just a word but a way of life. It was an authentic rise from the ground up, and tragically, that was taken from him. Big Juke's life ended in a hauntingly similar way to the one he's said to have orchestrated for Young Dolph, targeted out in the open with no warning. Whether you see it as fate, justice, or something else, that fact is undeniable. Key Glock remains here, still making music, still carrying the spirit of PRE, weaving Dolph's legacy into every verse. He stayed quiet about the details of justice on the Memphis streets, leaving the investigation's future uncertain. In a story where a man allegedly arranged a hit and then lost his own life, in nearly the same way, the truth might never fully come out in a court of law. And in Memphis, stories like this aren't uncommon. What makes this tale so intense is how it unfolded right before our eyes through court hearings, leaked documents, songs, social media posts, and press conferences. The saga between PRE and CMG stands as one of hip-hop's most vivid, complex, and heartbreaking real-life dramas of our time. Rest in peace, Young Dolph. No matter what the future investigation reveals about Big Juke's death, one thing is clear. Young Dolph built something real, stayed true to himself, and paid the highest price for it. Now those left behind must find a way to move forward without being weighed down by everything that came with it. That's the journey so far. If anything shifts, if arrests happen, if charges arise, if Key Glock's name makes a legal appearance, you can count on us to bring you the full story right here. Until then, stay alert, stay informed. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think. Thanks for watching.